Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the knowledge webinar at Cedar-IBSI FinTech Lab. And today we have a very interesting discussion on the digital trends in Islamic banking. I have with me two very eminent people with me, Saqib, who's the regional head at Backbase, and Raheel Iqbal, who is the managing partner of Codebase Technologies. Raheel joins us from Bahrain. Saqib is based in Dubai. So welcome, Raheel. Welcome, Saqib, to the webinar. Good to have you with us. I've broken down the webinar into three sections. Basically, I will start with a brief introduction and trends in Islamic banking in the industry today. And then we'll move on to Raheel and then on to Saqib. And then we'll take Q&As at the end from the participants. So moving forward. So we'll just start with a brief market overview. And in fact, what has come as a surprise is despite the challenges that we faced in 2020, the forecast for Islamic finance is still positive. Both S&Ps and Moody's have projected a growth in Islamic finance over the next few years. There is already a forecast of about $3.7 trillion of assets which are distributed across various institutions. In Islamic banking, obviously the primary institution holding most assets is the banks, followed by the sukuks and other funds, takaful, etc. We'll take a deeper look as we go on. In terms of going back from the previous page, as I said, there are about $2 trillion of funds in Islamic banks. The surprising part is that this is spread over 74 countries. So while we might think that this is highly focused around the Middle East, Islamic Africa, or a few of the Far East countries, it's actually pervasive across various Western countries and the US also, whether it be in Islamic banking or in sukuks or in various other instruments. In terms of countries with the highest assets in terms of Islamic assets, it's been Iran for a while, followed by KSA and Malaysia. There are no surprises there. But there are various countries now entering the fold and focusing on Islamic finance. And you see a lot of these newer entrants really growing well. For example, Morocco, Nigeria, Tajikistan. The GCC countries have been there, but now more and more countries are taking the cue to grow through the Islamic finance mode. In terms of technology, there are about 526 Islamic banks, which these includes pure Islamic banks and the Islamic banking windows, as we say, that operate Islamic finance through the windows. There has been a consistent view over the last few years to upgrade technology, especially in Islamic banks, the pure Islamic banks. And this has to do, as we see here, is to do with their core banking system, which they are looking to upgrade, their lending solution that they are looking to upgrade. In both areas, they are looking to digitalize their services to customers, their front end, their onboarding, and acquiring through various digital channels. And this has been significant spend in the digital technology moving forward. In terms of the Islamic finance assets within GCC, KSA obviously leads the way, followed by UAE, then Kuwait, Qatar, and Bahrain. We have, over the last couple of years, seen various banks that have invested heavily into technology, whether it be NBK, whether it be IBQ, whether it be QIB. One of the key trends over the last 2 years to 3 years that we've been seeing, and it's not just restricted to Islamic finance, is the consolidation that is happening within the banking industry. So we have seen Noor Bank merge with Dubai Islamic Bank. We have seen the big merger in KSA, which is NCB with Samba. And this is where mid-sized banks, smaller banks, and larger banks are merging to ensure the balance sheet is stronger. There is a better reach, better offering of products and services. and also ensuring that they're able to serve customers better through greater investment in technology and infrastructure through mergers to make stronger financial institutions. And that's a good sign, especially in Islamic banking. In terms of way forward, what are we seeing? Some of the key trends that we are seeing. One is due to COVID-19, we have seen use of digital tools even in Islamic banking. What had happened is over the past few years, we had seen conventional banks invest significant amounts of monies and efforts into digital. But having seen the situation, I think the Islamic banks have now really invested over the last 2 years into looking to catch up and come to par with some of the conventional banks as far as digital is concerned. There have been newer entrants into Islamic finance, whether it be countries, it be banks opening Islamic windows. There are new laws coming into play, which is supporting Islamic finance. And as per various analysts, whether it be S&Ps, whether it be Moody's, Islamic finance is supposed to, over the next 4 to 5 years, grow at a higher rate than normal conventional banking. There have been challenger banks that have been coming up in Islamic finance, especially in the UK. There has been one bank operating in the GCC. As we saw on the previous slide, there have been mergers, acquisitions, and consolidations happening in the industry, in banking industry, and Islamic finance has not kept out of that. And obviously, there is a huge digital transformation happening, and Saqib and Raheel here will talk a lot more about that as we move forward. These are some of the examples in terms of what has happened. Islamic finance is now being used in a post-COVID scenario to help economies come out of it by issuing sukuks, so helping the mid-sized and the SMEs with trade finance facilities and cushioning the blow of the impact of COVID-19. There have been new entrants, new laws being passed. Philippines recently passed a new law. KSA have passed some new laws regarding Islamic finance, which is now basically providing impetus to Islamic finance in many countries. There are challenger banks that we spoke about that have been launched in UK. Meme has been present in the GCC since many years. There is Wahid Invest, which is surprisingly out of US, which is now spreading its wings over 130 countries that they plan to offer robo-advisory and Islamic investment products, which is based out of the US. So there is a lot of challenger and FinTech institutions that are coming into play in the Islamic finance world. So basically, this is what has been happening. There has been digital sukuks, digital products that have come into play. There have been partnerships that are happening, which is assisting the spread of and assisting the growth of Islamic finance, especially in the Islamic Africa and in the Middle East. There are new products which now Sharia boards, Sharia governance, AOFI is looking to and promoting so that it attracts a larger crowd and not just the religious Islamic crowd, but the new millennials, the younger crowd that take interest in Sharia compliant products. And of course, blockchain and digital currency is coming into play slowly but surely, especially in the area of charity, in the area of zakat, etc. So these are some of the trends that we saw in the Islamic finance world. I'll now hand over to Raheel. Raheel, if you're ready, I can hand over the control to you, and then you can take it.
Thank you, Murtaza, for the insights on the industry. Welcome everyone to the webinar. My name is Raheel and I'm the managing partner at Codebase Technologies. As Murtaza was rightly mentioning, that the Islamic finance industry has been growing and it is supposed to grow. The market outlook is very positive. In terms of their investments, what they've been doing in technology is encouraging. They are definitely catching up with the likes of their conventional counterparts, and we've seen a lot of investments in the digital space be it the opening up the digital banks. We've seen in Bahrain, in UAE, post outside GCC as well. We've recently seen in Pakistan as well. So there is a lot of investments happening from both tier 1, tier 2 banks within the digital banking space. So let me just give you some background on Codebase Technologies. We are a very active member of the Cedar FinTech lab in Dubai. We are a global open API banking provider where we work with both conventional and Islamic banks and Islamic FinTechs. Because FinTechs is the new emerging ecosystem, which is basically helping the overall industry move in the right direction. We have presence over 4 continents, and our award-winning product DigiBank helps basically banks go live, go digital, even sitting on their legacy platforms. We focus on the entire digital transformation agenda for the bank, be it a customer facing, be it operational excellence, or be it regulatory or GRC compliance. We've been recently awarded several accolades, being one of the top 10 UAE technology companies, best Islamic financial service provider by IFN, and some other regional awards. So we are in the middle of where of the Islamic hub, as we say in the GCC, spreading our wings across Africa, Asia Pacific, helping banks and fintechs basically overcome the challenge of digital, how to go digital, uh, helping them go digital. As Murtaza was mentioning, there's a lot of investment happened on core banking systems. There's a lot of investment happened by the banks on their traditional systems or legacy systems, what we say, and we try to leverage those platforms for our banking clients. And I'll take you through some more case studies as well, that how we've helped banks in different elements. So be it customer experience, customer facing channels, be it your regulatory, be it your operational, and so forth. So just a little bit about the DigiBank platform. So it's a complete banking suite, front to back, from channels all the way to core and the regulatory compliance. It's a completely API-driven technology. We boast over 470 plus banking-ready integration APIs, covering onboarding, cards, ATM, loans, accounts, up to logistics and personalization. And they all come with their own back office solution where the banks can modularly take them and deliver different experiences to their customers. We are fully agnostic and scalable. So we can sit on top of any core banking, or we can talk to any channel system or an integration platform. We are fully cloud ready and cloud agnostic. We're available on Azure, AWS, and we can be available on any other cloud platform in the region, depending on the regulatory requirements. All our platforms come with built-in embedded enterprise-grade security features, and we take security very seriously, and helping our clients as well understand what are the challenges when you deal with the digital transformation agenda, when it comes to cybersecurity and any other such requirements from the regulator. And of course, while we work in different regions, we adhere to both international and the local regulatory compliances, be it digital KYC, be it instant lending, your provisions, or your prudential regulation for regulatory compliance. So for us, the digital transformation journey doesn't ends at the customer. It starts with the customer, and we take that transformation journey across the employees, the operations, to your end products. So we help organizations look at digital transformation from a very holistic perspective. And what we've seen in the past, that banks have invested in the front end channels. They have done some good work on the customer experience part, but at the back, operationally, and from a product perspective, from an employee management perspective, those gaps were still there, and that has still created friction from a true digital transformation journey perspective. And we then help banks and institutions address those challenges as well. So be it your digital core, be it your operational platforms, reconciliation platforms, connecting into various payment gateways, or automating credit bureau checks, and so forth. So we're able to look at the journey in entirety, make sure that the customer experience then hand in hand goes with the operational experience within the organization, um, ending up to the regulatory compliance and regulatory reporting, because that's the a huge area where banks need to work. uh, while they have automated a lot of things at the front, still the regulatory and MIS part still remains till date very manual and archaic, and we help banks basically achieve those kind of large automation as well. So when we talk about the three areas, the customer experience, we have seen in things like customer channels, be it touch points, instant onboarding. There have been a lot of work being done on the instant and digital KYC, digital lending. We were able to launch Bahrain's first instant lending platform, and it was a complete game changer for the market. How we access data, how we support customers, and during COVID, the conversion rates shot through the roof for such products. Social payments is one of the new phenomena. Currently, we are basically helping banks to undertake. They have been shied away from it. FinTechs were basically more uh, up for that kind of a platform and alternative payments, but now banks are picking up that pace. And there have been a lot of partnerships between the fintechs and the traditional banks, helping each other grow their market, because the fintechs bring the agility, and fintechs bring new propositions, and the banks are having access to customer base. They have the infrastructure, they have large deep pockets, and they can do much better as a partner rather than standalone entity. So we've seen a lot of partnerships in that space. We've helped tier one banks like Dubai Islamic Bank, Kuwait Finance House, and fintechs like ZincPay to basically take that customer experience to a completely separate level, where they can compete with the conventional counterparts, they can compete with fintechs, and they can offer a much more robust customer experience altogether. And then when we move on to the operational side, which is also very important, whereas back office automation like RPA, integration management, open banking, and API compliance management, which is very new to the industry. Codebase has been working as a permanent member of the working group for open banking in the MENA region, helping and supporting the cause of open banking over here. We've recently published with the MENA FinTech Association and Arab Monetary Fund a deep insight report on open banking and how it can transform not just the banking space, but the overall financial ecosystem. As we say, embedded finance, financial inclusion, financial awareness, and so forth. And then we moved on within the operational excellence, that how can we help banks become more nimble, become more agile by adopting digital core technologies, cloud driven technologies, and so forth. Uh, Ending up into the reconciliation part. Automated reconciliation, still it's a very archaic process and manual process these days, and we're basically disrupting the recurring payments industry with automated reconciliation today. We work with large institutions again on the operational excellence part. And then lastly, the regulatory compliance. This is a this is something which has been forgotten while we were focusing all on the customer experience and customer journeys. The regulatory compliance has grown massively with COVID, with the new rules and regulation, with the OECDs, the FATF rules, the other compliance issues. It's a never ending story, and banks have been investing a lot of manual resources on the regulatory compliance. And I'm very happy to share today that we've been working with banks in the region in helping them automate what used to take 27 days, now takes less than 15 minutes. And it's a complete automated process where they can submit a regulatory report on time, in real time, from a compliance and automated reporting perspective. And that also tells us that once you've onboarded a customer, regulatory requirements are very stringent when it comes to KYC management. People have focused on onboarding customers, but the KYC remediation industry is blowing out right now. Frauds, KYC risk profiling. Uh, Last year, there were approximately $8 billion fined to global banks on KYC remediation issues. So it was an industry report which was published last year, and we see that area be a very huge opportunity for Islamic banks to undertake and reduce their compliance costs drastically. So within the space of what we've been doing in the customer experience part, we recently launched Dubai Islamic Bank Pakistan's first digital non-resident banking platform, which allows them to onboard a customer instantly from anywhere, from any part of the world. Any Pakistani living outside Pakistan can today open a bank account with DIB from their mobile device, from their web devices, and we tried to bring in those international best practices and experiences to Pakistan, and it was supported by the regulator. They wanted to basically come up with newer technologies where they can basically help banks motivate and bring in investment from outside Pakistan. We basically, the proposition helped the bank achieve a staggering 89% conversion within the pilot stage alone, and they were able to reduce their cost by 60%. So today, what we focus on, how we can deliver such kind of a project sitting on legacy core platforms, very old legacy platforms. We were able to roll out the MVP or the pilots in just 22 days. It was a record timing for any such delivery within the organization and within the country and the region as well. And we were very proud to be partnered with DIB on this monumental proposition which they brought in with the state, with the help of the local regulator. Similarly, we basically also, from a customer experience perspective, we work with Kuwait Finance House for their first digital Islamic bank in Bahrain, which was Jazeel. It is the only institution right now which allows pan GCC onboarding. So it's not just restricted to Bahrainis. Any pan GCC national can open a bank account in less than 6 to 7 minutes, sitting at the comfort of their home. And this is the only institution today who's able to offer an end-to-end banking services, be it cards, be it lending, instant lending. They were the first one to bring instant connected lending to the market, pan GCC onboarding, cards, accounts, investments, and now we're moving to wealth management as well. So they have been pioneering the Bahraini space for almost 3 years now, neck to neck with other counterparts. And we were able to roll out the full MVP in less than 3 months. So it shows that the fear of Islamic banks, which was that how should they be leveraging the legacy platforms, we've tried to solve that challenge for them. Any legacy platform, any legacy core, we're able to support such banks and basically take them digital in a very agile and a nimble manner. We also went with the first digital challenger bank end-to-end, front to back, on our digital core technology in Dubai. It's the first GCC bank to go full cloud approach, and to the extent the digital core platform can be deployed in less than 45 minutes. Gone are the days of 6 months and 9 months of deployments. Uh, it can be deployed in just 45 minutes. It's a complete different shift altogether, how we see challenger banks coming up with new propositions and adopting the cloud technology at its best. It would be the only proposition which would be supporting both retail and corporate banking, and we were able to roll out the complete digital core MVP in less than 4 months. Those kind of operational excellence projects uh, allows the banks to reduce their dependencies, reduce their inefficiencies drastically, and it's a complete game changer proposition in the market when you talk about working with traditional banks and on-prem propositions as compared to completely scalable and cloud-driven model. And lastly, what I would want to touch upon, and which is a very key area, as I was mentioning before, is the regulatory compliance. Today, we see banks investing a lot of manpower, a lot of manual processes, and error-prone processes when it comes to regulatory reporting. We all know regulatory reporting requires monthly, quarterly submissions, yearly submissions, and these are all literally done on Excel files and manually done by people crunching numbers, which is of course prone to errors. There's no integrity to data when it comes to such kind of reporting, and regulatory reporting is a very key element for any bank. What we were able to do with our partnership with KFH in Bahrain, they embarked with us on an automation journey with a full focus on the GRC element, and they made it as a part of their digital agenda. That was very important because it has to be coming in from the top down. So the bank's management was basically very much inclined towards putting the GRC as part of their key digital agenda. Today, the platform has automated approx over 200 reports, supporting both Central Bank of Bahrain as well as Central Bank of UAE. And we've designed and developed complete ETL models for them and templates out of the box. There were, of course, a lot of legacy data challenges, as we can know. However, we do appreciate that institutions with having legacy systems should not have that challenge of not being able to automate and digitize their entire back office journey. So today we connect over 15 various legacy data sources, over approximately 1,500 data points, and we're able to automate such kind of complex calculations, be it IFRS 9, be it capital adequacies, be it the balance sheet or the financial statements of the bank. Uh, Outcome was the bank was able to achieve a daily capital adequacy ratio report in under 10 minutes. It used to take days and people to run that report and to produce the report after every month end. Today, the bank is able to 8 a.m. sharp. Everyone in the bank gets the report right on their desktop from our portal, and that has completely changed because that is a very key element of the stakeholders' business decision making as well. How their deposits are looking, how their market risk is looking, how their operational risk is looking. That allows the banks to take timely decisions within the compliance and the risk management part. So it solves two problems at the same time. Uh, Regulatory report is much more accurate, timely, less manual work, and at the same time, it gives the bank real-time view on their risk which they're sitting, be it market fluctuations, be it operational risk, or credit risk for that matter. So we were able to automate these reports and made them available real time for the stakeholders at their fingertips. So all in all, the Islamic banks have a huge opportunity today to focus on all of these elements, and there is a huge benefit of the banks looking at these areas within the digital transformation agenda. Uh, and we feel that by employing such practices and employing such technologies, the banks would be able to regain their position, not just with their customers, with their operational shareholders, because everyone is asking for operational efficiency, as well as regulators. So that basically sums up, from my perspective, that how Islamic banks can actually look at a complete entire transformation journey in a very nimble, in a very agile, and in a very different manner as compared to the traditional methods of going digital.
Thank you, Raheel. Is So that was a good overview for us, Raheel. Not only as far as the digital front end is concerned, but also as far as you're looking at all the channels. You're looking at core, which is operational in nature, and then you're looking at post activities, which are all regulatory reporting. So that was a great overview. In fact, I have a few questions, so just hang in there. We'll let Saqib take us through the Backbase journey, and then we'll come back to you, Raheel. Thank you so much. If you,
Perfect.
yeah.
Thank you indeed, Raheel. It was a really nice talk from your side, and some really nice case studies and some really nice uh, piece of information regarding how banks should definitely look into the digital transformation. Murtaza, I think I'm good to start now, correct?
Can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, you can start.
Okay. So let's, if you can move to the first, I'm just trying to go to the, okay. Let's start from the first screen then. Oh yeah, that's good. So hi everybody, and thank you indeed to Murtaza and to Cedar and IBS Journal for giving us an opportunity today to speak about a really, interesting topic about how banks, especially the Islamic banks, are gearing towards digital transformations and, of course, offering a better customer experience. My name is Saqib Khan. I am the regional head for Backbase in the Middle East. And today I'll be talking about uh, how we as Backbase, as a technology organization, are enablers in the pursuit of a better customer experience for Islamic banks. So let me start with the word engagement. I think if we have to describe Backbase in the truest form, and if there's one word that describes what we do really well, is the word engagement, and we do it through a platform perspective. So I think in today's era, I think I'm just trying to figure out if I have the control. Yeah, I do. So we are living in the platform era, and I think this is the future, right? Banks are moving towards platforms, whether banking organizations or non-banking organizations, they are moving towards an era where they're thinking platform, and platform not only from a technology perspective, but also from a business perspective, from a business model perspective as well. A few quick examples outside the banking space and where we can get some nice inspiration is, for example, Uber Eats, right? Uber Eats is a fully digital business model where I think all of us in this call would have had some sort of an interaction with either Uber Eats or with a similar app like Uber Eats, right? And what we see is that it is very instant gratification. It is one engagement layer in their business model, which is connecting the consumers as well as the back-end suppliers. So whether it could be your kitchens, your restaurant, etc. Having said this is more from a, let's say, business to consumer perspective, but essentially what we can learn from a digital business model, what banks can learn from a non-banking digital organization like of Uber Eats is how why a platform is very important to make things really fast and how your organization can become very nimble. In the context of a B2B, we see another really nice example, which is of Spotify, for example. Okay, so we were talking about uh, platforms and how businesses are changing, and to similar to how business models are evolving outside the banking, I think in the context of banking as well, uh, it's going to change in the same manner. And banks would have to own the customer experience layer. And this customer experience layer is not only to do with customers, but also how your bank employees are also working, right? So customer expectations have drastically changed. Customer habits have changed. People are looking for instant gratifications, instant rewards in any context, whether it is application of a card, whether it is application of a loan, etc., or whether it is another banking product or an Islamic banking product. However, what we've seen is that a lot of times, the employee aspect is not taken into consideration, and hence there it is very important for banks to think in a manner where they're driven from a platform perspective. So moving forward, in if let's talk about a bit of a overview on how Backbase looks and what are the four key pillars of Backbase. So the first important pillar of Backbase is delighting customers, and that's where we create a lot of value. And for us, and for any organization, you need to put customer at the heart of the strategy. The second pillar, which is also very important, is empowering employees. As I mentioned in the last slide, that often we've seen that employees are not empowered enough. They are not equipped enough to take decisions immediately what your customers are expecting. Hence we see that this is a very important aspect, especially in the context of Islamic banks, where Islamic banking employees are equipped and ready to instantly honor the digital SLAs. The fourth pillar, which is very important, is orchestrating value. Now, orchestration of value could be either from your underlying banking systems, it could be your core banking system, a Sharia compliant core banking system, or it could be a Islamic credit card, for example, or it could be other products. And so, orchestration of value essentially refers to the fact that your platform should be developed in a manner that it can really gather data from the underlying systems. So that is from an inside outlook, right? But if you take a look from an outside in perspective, orchestration of value is also very important in the context of open banking, where you as a bank can go out and partner with other fintech organizations. So this is the third pillar where Backbase is, invests quite a lot. The fourth pillar is digitization of operations. And as much as of digitization can be done, but essentially result in a better performance, both for your end customers as well as for your for the bank. We've seen is that some of the banks have done a great job in the context of Islamic banking, as banks, especially Islamic banks that are investing in upgrading their systems. Their main focus is on the experience on the glass, but the underlying layers are very broken. They're still very manual, as Raheel, brother Raheel was mentioning about, and hence that is one area where a lot of work has to be done. Of course, these things do take time, but if you have the right technology and the right mindset and the right way of working, you can achieve much greater heights. Moving forward, uh, if you look at it from again another angle of what needs to be done is, from a Backbase perspective, you need to really fuse the customer and the employee experience, right? So you need to empower your employees, have these 360-degree customer views with that are digitally sort of enabled. There's this AI based activation there where your employees can interact very instantly with your customers. On the same side, your customers should have a really nice user experience journey on any digital channel. So whether it could be your mobile or it could be your web. The point where what I'm trying to make here is that the way forward for Islamic banks is primarily to fuse the customer as well as the employee experience, and that should be done on one platform rather than having different silos. What we still see in a lot of traditional banks. The other aspect uh, in the digital trends, especially in the context of Islamic banking, we see is going beyond banking. So, Murtaza, if you move to the next slide, we also see that the underlying needs, whether it is for consumers or for businesses, are going beyond banking. And what we see right now is that we as human beings, in the context of, let's say, retail banking, are expecting much more, uh, uh, let's say, functionality in the mobile app, which goes much beyond the mobile banking, right? And that's essentially done through the help of orchestration engine and orchestrating value. So I talked about consumers, but in the context of business customers as well, you find the SMEs have a very different needs. They would like to have a payroll, sort of a functionality within the app. They would like to have their bookkeeping instantly within the mobile banking app, and that's where banks can create a lot of value. And hence, Backbase being a very open platform would make this happen really fast. The question is how it is done, right? I think we've talked about what your customers are looking at, but often we've seen is that there is an ambition by the banks, especially Islamic banks, because they're now catching up with a lot of traditional banks who may have taken a slightly early start. But the question is, how do they make this happen, right? So in our perspective, there has to be a very agile way of working, and the ongoing innovations have to be very fast. And this is only done when there's the right mindset and the right set of tools and the right selection of the platform that make you agile. So digitization of operations was the fourth pillar that Backbase creates a lot of value. Has to be done in a manner where you have an agile release trade, very similar to the likes of Revoluts or the Monzos of the world, a bit of the non-Islamic concept, but the way they've done it is essentially within the same concept. So let's move forward, right? And let's take an angle of what is important for a bank, especially Islamic banking, where they have to interact with the customer. And we believe that you need to really track the different moments which are really important in a consumer's life. For example, when a customer is being onboarded, if there is when was the birthday of the customer, when was the wedding of the customer, or for example, if somebody has a baby, for example, somebody's going for Hajj or Umrah, for example, that's where you really need to have an interaction point with your customer. So this is what, and that is exactly where you can upsell and co-sell your services as a bank, right? And this is essentially done with the power of digital sales. Backbase is investing quite a lot in digital sales. It is a complete it's a full-fledged engine where it starts from your customer onboarding to origination of products. And if you can move forward, I think that's the way we essentially look at this area is how you can supercharge your share of wallet. It is primarily done by having a very white glove treatment to your customers, and also by offering seamless journeys. And these journeys should be uh, very intuitive and very responsive. And hence, that's one area where Islamic banks can create a lot of value. So I think in the trends, what we've seen is that this is one area where banks are investing and where companies, where Backbase is creating definitely a lot of value. Now, let's talk about a few of our customers. Alhamdulillah, we take pride in saying that we work with more than 180 plus banks around the world. Of course, there are a mix of both conventional and Islamic customers. In the context of the Middle East region, we take pride in saying that we work with 9 banks. So Murtaza, if you move to the second bank, you'll see here that these are some of the banks that we take pride we work with. Kuwait International Bank is one of the recent wins. It is a fully fledged Islamic bank that is going to be out there with a very nice customer experience in the market. Qatar Islamic Bank is another Islamic customer that uses us not only for retail but also for corporate and business banking, etc. National Bank of Bahrain has Islamic window, and we're also the engagement platform for them. And Bank Ila is a challenger bank, which is on the Backbase platform. Now, I have a few really interesting case studies. I think I would love to talk about Qatar Islamic Bank. And if you happen to be in Qatar, I'm sure you would know this brand. This is the largest Islamic bank in Qatar. And the challenge they had was essentially a very deprecated digital offering in different silos. So, they had a different web experience, they had a very different mobile experience, they had a different kiosk experience, and they really wanted to unify this, right? And we were selected as the partner of choice. We enjoy a thorough journey with them for the last 6 years now, and we have a nice roadmap with the bank. But what is more important is that Qatar Islamic Bank offers truly Sharia compliant customer journeys on the mobile and on the web. This can start from customer onboarding to any product originations, not only in the context of retail, but also in the context of corporate banking. The next interesting case study I have is more is Bank Ila. Bank Ila is a challenger bank and a very successful digital challenger bank in Bahrain. This is a subsidiary of Arab Banking Corporation, and Backbase is the engagement layer or the orchestrating engine that is offering the complete digital experience. So I think in the context of Islamic banking as well, the trend or what we see is that pure Islamic banks are moving towards neo banking or lifestyle based banking applications. And this is a very similar concept to that. So Ila Bank is a very interesting case because they're targeting the millennials and the young generation, and that's where the future of banking lies. So we take pride in saying that Ila Bank is powered by Backbase, and there's a lot more that Ila is doing on the Backbase platform. So moving forward, essentially from a Backbase perspective, our logo and our DNA is that we make the bank that people would love to work with or bank with, and that's what we strive for. If there are any questions that you may have from me, I'll be happy to take them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Saqib. This is a good presentation on Backbase and what it does and how it has progressed in the region. Um, so just to come back to the Q&A, and I'll stop sharing the screen. I have one for you, Raheel, and in terms of, you did mention the Irada implementation was a full cloud-based implementation, right? And it's quite a challenge, a journey to take a bank on cloud, especially you would know, Raheel, more than others in terms of the reservations people have in terms of putting the operations on cloud. So if you can just give us some experience in terms of what was the journey and what are you seeing in terms of how cloud has helped and improve turnaround times or improve your cost to income calculations, or what is your experience being in terms of putting everything on cloud?
So see, cloud, yes, it is a point of concern when you talk about cloud with banking community in the fraternity. They do put some reservations. However, in our experience, the regulators both in Bahrain and in the UAE have been very vocal about it. It's always the regulators push which allows bankers to and banks to basically open up to such kind of new things. In our experience, it has drastically changed how we look at our platforms, how we look at our applications, and how bank look at IT as an operational unit altogether. Imagine running a bank with only 10 to 15 operational people, and fully automated release management, DevOps principles. You can do a lot of work with these new technologies and embracing cloud. Yes, there are certain uh, requirements from the regulators on how to adopt to the cloud. And I think those are pretty standard across markets, be it Europe, be it US, be it Africa, Asia, Middle East. Those are very standard, thought through compliance requirements by the regulators when you're adopting cloud. But we have seen in our partnership, and it is always a partnership between us and our clients. And that basically helps not just to uh, look at from their perspective, but also look at from our perspective as well, that how do we contribute towards their vision of becoming a operationally nimble organization. Uh, so cloud definitely saves on cost. Cloud definitely allows them to automate what used to be a very manual operational process of release management, putting up installations. As I was mentioning, the bank can actually do their new instances in literally less than an hour. And Saqib would also agree with me with the new SaaS models coming into the picture in the market. Uh, there is a lot of cost saving, like because as even Codebase, we've launched our SaaS platform, and we've seen a huge cost efficiency for smaller banks like tier 3 banks, tier 4 banks, smaller institutions like insurance and takaful, fund managers. Going onto a cloud model is the only option available for them to be able to be profitable.
So what would you say to, for new banks coming up, it's an easier option because they're starting greenfield. But the banks who have been there, invested in infrastructure, what would your advice be as far as, cloud and data security and concerns on KYC and so on and so forth?
See, from our region's perspective, in major regions, you will have the likes of AWS and Azure and Google, GCP Cloud available. Uh, Even Oracle Cloud is available in Saudi, for example. So, from an infrastructure perspective, cloud has come in these regions, and they are supporting the region's growth. For neo challenger banks, that cloud is the model. Do not invest heavy into your infrastructure, which may become legacy, which may not be efficient. And why not leverage the technology of cloud and keep your costs low, and you go live instead of ordering a hardware for 4 months. You can go live in 3 months time on a cloud. So it is all how you see your markets, how you see you going live and focusing on your customers. That's most important. How do you focus on your customers, and how do you focus on relieving the pain of your customers?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Saqib, this one's for you in terms of you also spoke about assisting the backend, digitalizing the operations part of and working with customers to make the operations more smoother. So, what would be the focus areas that you would recommend in terms of digitizing the backend operations? Any key processes that you all typically look at, which would help the overall turnaround time, customer experience, cost savings, etc.
Absolutely. So thanks a lot. And this is what we do day and night, as Backbase. We essentially do value mapping. So when we work with banks, we scan their existing operational processes, and we do a value mapping. Where is the biggest pain point, or where is the biggest friction? And what we've seen is generally these are in areas like KYC, these are in areas like AML checks, these are in areas like document uploads, these are in areas like facial recognitions, etc. Or and one of the other areas is also to do with API connectivity with the outside world, with the regulatory environments or government environments. So that's our take on it, and the way Backbase approaches digitization of processes is by starting a value mapping exercise. We take verticals, whether it is retail, SME, or corporate banking, and take specific journeys. So we would take with, for example, a corporate onboarding journey or an SME onboarding journey, and then we see where is the highest friction point. And then as Backbase, from our technology perspective, we tend to reduce the time or simplify the process.
Okay. And excellent. And you two are able to provide your services on cloud, I assume, right? Where
Yes,
required.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, yeah, thank you, Murtaza. So, as a technology company, and I think Raheel would also agree with me, the way forward is on the cloud, right? Unfortunately, we've seen, of course, banks being a let's say, less responsive or receptive to
Yes.
it, also because of regulations and etc. And fair to say that. But what we see is that now in emerging economies, likes of APAC and Africa, and to a great extent in the GCC as well, we see cloud adoption to take a rapid uptake. And because of the reasons that Raheel just mentioned, you want to go fast, you go cloud; you want to go slow, you go on premise. And now technology on the cloud is so stable with all these the emerging the cloud providers like Azure and AWS. They make things life very easy. So from a Backbase perspective, we have a full-fledged managed service offering, which is called Backbase as a service. And essentially, the bank can outsource to us everything from manage hosting of the infrastructure to the deployment of the platform, and also application life management. So that can be taken care by Backbase. We can also provide scots to the bank if they are limited in their human resource capacity. So if they need some data engineers or let's say UX designers, etc., that can all be provided by Backbase. And ideally, the bank can act as a product owner. So you as a bank, you know banking at the best. We as a technology company would do technology at the best.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Raheel, one for you. Have you seen regulatory context different in various countries? Because you are offering a regulatory solution, right? So, I mean, is there a high degree of adaptation required, or is it an out-of-box solution, or how do you work around those?
See, the regulatory requirements typically, in principle, remain very similar. The kind of data they request, the kind of information they want from the banks. Uh, However, from a localization perspective, there are certain things which can change. But overall, because today regulators collaborate very much on that level as well, be it on a regional level or be it on different countries level, you will see a lot of collaboration happening. So we see a similar trend in terms of how they want the banks to report and what to report. Now, frequency could be different, uh, templates could be different, but the essential in principle requirement still remains the same. They want to see how the bank is performing, both financially, risk perspective, compliance perspective, reporting perspective. So that remains as is across markets. And we were able to actually bring in our experience from, say, for example, UAE to Bahrain in a period of what, 45 days. So any new market who wants to implement a full regulatory reporting platform, an automated one, it can range from easy 45 to 60 days, and the platform is available to adapt to such requirements
And this is regulatory reporting end to end, right? For
end to end.
regarding
So from the day,
income.
from the balance sheet of the bank all the way to operational risk, market risk, IFRS 9, there are over 200 plus reports currently on our platform. Uh, Approximately 100 plus is for each markets where we operate. And we have worked for Islamic Bank, so the prudential regulation for Islamic Bank primarily is automated. And
And would
yes, going into any new market is a much easier augmentation of our existing out of the box ETL data layers.
excellent. And is this uh, an out-of-box solution, or would one need to be on digibank all the way through to be able to enjoy the benefits of the
No.
regulatory piece?
So it's a fully agnostic platform. We work on core banking, legacy core banking systems. We work on multiple systems, and that's the beauty of it, that we sit on top of any legacy platform and can extract data, can extrapolate data, transform data, and present a fully automated regulatory and compliance reporting.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We've run out of time. We have a few questions, which probably I'll take it up with you offline and revert back to some of our attendees. But thank you so much for being there today. Saqib, thank you. Raheel, thank you. Raheel, Saqib, obviously, we've had two types of companies. One is established, Backbase, multinational. Raheel, I've seen you. I know you over many years and have seen Codebase the last 3 or 4 years growing exponentially. So it's good to see an emerging company grow so fast, especially in the region. All the best. And thank you very much for being there. And thank you everybody who's joined us today and participated in this. Thank you so much.